Welcome to the Saturday Sports Line. Since 1969, the premier sports show about local high school sports, featuring coaches, players, and special guests. Now, here is your host of the Saturday Sports Line, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
It's going to end 43-0 will be the final score as the South Newton Rebels travel all the way from Kentland, Indiana to pick up a win against the South Central Satellites. A tough loss for the Satellites.
And a good morning to you here on the Saturday Sports Line. I'm Mitch Columbi along with sports analyst Chris McGowan for another Saturday Sports Line, the longest running high school sports show in Indiana history. We're so glad to be here with you as we look around the area. Chris, last night, as you heard the final call, 43-0, a tough loss there to the South Central Satellites. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We move on into Culver, though. Huge win over Pioneer last night, 28-8, the first win against Pioneer in Culver school history.
Yeah, and they went to the pit and actually got it done last night, so I'm curious to hear Coach Zehner this morning.
I know. I've already got my text ready on standby. I am so excited to talk to him this morning. And then we look at North Judson last night with a tough loss against LaVille. You know, we keep hearing about LaVille. They saw LaVille last night. It went into overtime, 27-21. We'll definitely have head coach Brett Lambert in a little bit later to talk about that, Chris.
Yeah, the game that Judson led pretty much the entire game, and LaVille was able to punch one in late, tied it up 21-21, actually missed a field goal at the end of the game, hit the upright, so went into overtime, and LaVille was able to punch one in. So a 27-21 win for the Lancers.
Definitely a bad taste in your mouth if you're a Blue Jay fan this morning. The Knox Redskins, though, they took it to Triton last night as they were on the road, 38-32 with a win last night. We'll have head coach Russ Radtke. Big win for the Redskins as they're looking good here late in the season. We move on into the Winamac Warriors. They picked up that big win they needed against Caston last night. 33-12 was the final score. Very excited to talk with Josh Burgess about that win for sure. As we move on into the West Central Trojans, 46-6, another big win. Their fourth in a row as they are hot right now. The Trojans took it to Frontier 46-6 last night. Let's go ahead and bring in head coach Marc Hall of the West Central Trojans. Good morning, Marc. Were you expecting that big of a win last night?
Good morning. No, we had some adversity this week and had some guys that needed to step up, and they were able to do that. Frontier, going into the game, had been doing really well in conference. They were also 3-0 just like we were, so we were expecting a really close game with what they're able to do, and defensively they have done a pretty good job all year long, so we were expecting it to be pretty tight. And after the first quarter, it was 0-0, and then we scored 32 real quick points in the second quarter there and took a 32-0 lead, and it was off a Connor Marlatt had a 14-yard touchdown run. And then our next possession, we forced a quick 3-and-out, and Jacob Pilarski had a 28-yard touchdown run. And then the next series for Frontier, Austin Bolin intercepted the pass and returned it 48 yards for a touchdown. Then with about a minute to go or 2 minutes to go in the second quarter, we got another one with Marlatt throwing a touchdown pass to Chase Mitchell for 19 yards. And we were able to get 2-point conversions on all those, so we were up 32-0. And then we gave up a last play of the first half. We gave up a score to Frontier, but we were expecting it to be a tight, contested game, and then all of a sudden we had that explosion of 32 points, and we jumped on them quickly, and that kind of just was ending of the game, and we were able to keep control in the second half and add 2 more scores with Spencer Lehman getting a touchdown, and then our freshman Dre Villarreal getting a touchdown in there in the fourth quarter as well. So just a really nice overall team effort. We had a lot of guys, like as I said, they had to step up this week with some of the things we had to deal with, and one of those guys that came into a role was Johnny Rao. He's a sophomore that we put in there at linebacker and just basically said, go get them every play, because they were going to do a lot of passing. And He had 7 tackles on the night, 2 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks, and pressured the quarterback 6 times. So he was doing everything we needed him to do, and did a great job of forcing some throws to be off and a little bit quicker than what they would have liked to. And overall, our defensive line did that as well. And Jacob Pilarski for us last night had a great game. Defensively, he had 9 total tackles. And then offensively, we leaned on him a lot last night, and he had 19 carries for 144 yards and a touchdown. So just a lot of guys just had a great effort. Spencer Lehman had 6 carries for 63 yards and 3 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown in there. So just a lot of guys just doing everything they could to make sure that we come out on top last night.
Talk a little bit more about Jacob Pilarski. I mean, he just seems like a kid, from the outside looking in. He's just going to bring the hard hat and lunch pail to work every day and just put the time in. Talk a little bit more about him.
Yeah, he's a great worker for us, and he does what we ask, doesn't complain about it, and just goes out there and does what's required of him. And through the beginning half of the year, we were doing a lot more split carries, and we still do that. We at least try to, but last few games he's really taken on a bigger role and had a couple games here where he's been right around that 20 carry mark, and then still defensively he's our middle linebacker, and he's been doing a great job. He's leading our team in tackles. He had another good night last night defensively, and especially with what they were doing, they were trying to do a lot of spread stuff and sometimes no running back. So as a middle linebacker, for him to be getting as many tackles as he was, that was a really nice job running some things down sideline to sideline. And especially since we always give him a hard time because we tell him he's got to get a little quicker sometimes with what he's doing. But he had a really nice last couple weeks here rushing the ball for us.
Well, that's good. And doing some quick calculations here, last night's victory over Frontier, I think, guarantees you at least a share of the conference title. Is that correct?
Yes, it does. We were able to secure at least the share of it last night, and that'll be the first conference championship in football in 24 years.
Wow.
And that's something we were talking with the kids about all week, about it's right there for us to go do. There haven't been many teams that have had that opportunity, and there's only been, I think, 3 in school history that have done it. So to be able to, whenever you go back to the gym, you're going to be able to see that was your year, and you were able to get it done. So we were hitting on that quite a bit this week with the guys, and it's going to be same thing this week. We've got a share of it, but let's try and make sure that that's all to ourselves, and we don't have to share anything with it.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right to be a little bit selfish.
Yes, and it started really back at the South Newton week. At that point, South Newton was 2-0 in conference. We were 2-0 in conference going into it, and we told the guys, it's going to be a big game, and if we take care of business every single week here on after, it's going to get bigger. So we just got to keep getting after it, and that's what we should want as competitors. Is every week it's important, it matters, and we're right here again this week going into the North White, and it's another big one.
We're talking with head coach Marc called the West Central Trojans 7-1. Marc, how's that feel?
It feels pretty good. There's been some years in there where we haven't been there, and it's been some of those years are rough, and but those guys that were there, they're the ones that have helped lay the groundwork for why we're having success this year. The seniors and juniors that they went through the last couple of years, and they've had some rough years, and they persevered, and because of that perseverance, they're able to now reap some of the benefits of putting in the work and doing things that we needed to get done, and I'm happy for them. Some of the things we're able to do this year, it's just I'm thrilled that they get to experience it, and they're having the success that they are.
I tell you what, going back to that South Newton game, you brought it up. Seeing them play last night, I was really impressed with defensively how they flew to the football and how they were getting around on the football field. For you guys to go to South Newton and put 56 points on the board, that's pretty impressive, Coach.
Yeah, they're a good football team. They've done some good things. They had a few years there where they were struggling quite a bit, but last year they were able to turn the corner. And they've continued that this year, and they've got some athletes. They got some guys that fly around and do some good things. And it was, in that game, it came down to some timely turnovers that we were able to capitalize on, and that expanded that lead and gave us the points that we got out of it.
All right, so you have the opportunity to take the conference outright this week, but you have to go to North White, 421 rival there. What do you know about the Vikings?
Well, they've got their quarterback. He's been back the last, I think, 2 weeks now. I believe he came back last week against South Newton. He had been out for a while. When he was out, they were more of a single wing type offense, direct snap to the running back, and he was picking where he was going. Now they're going to be a little more complex. They're running some I formation, some spreads formation at times, but they like to stay in I formation. They want to run the ball. Defensively, they're usually pretty stout up front, and linebacker-wise, they've got some good guys in there. So we're going to have to make sure that we have a good week of practice and know what we need to get accomplished, and hopefully be able to find some places we can take advantage of.
All right, last question, Coach. How's the health of the ball club?
Pretty good. It's when you are winning games, that does help with things. But it
makes you feel a little bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does make you feel a little bit better on Saturday, and some of those bumps and bruises may not hurt as much if we didn't win the game. But yeah, there's the typical bumps and bruises. We're now going into week 9 of the season, so there's guys that are sore, and we take it a little bit easier sometimes during practice than what we did at the beginning of the year to ease up on some things and try to manage it to make sure that they're ready for Friday.
Well, I guess I do have one more question. You doing anything special tomorrow for the draw?
No, I don't believe so. There was no plans to do anything. We're just sit back here at my house and hopefully we have a nice draw and we can set ourselves up for some success in the tournament.
All right, that's Coach Marc Hall of the 7-1 West Central Trojans.
Sounds good, Coach. We appreciate your time. Thanks for the call.
All right, thank you. Have a good week.
All right, Marc Hall, head coach of the West Central Trojans, taking his time this morning. We so appreciate it. We're going to take a break. We've got Mike Zehner coming up next. They had a huge win last night over Pioneer, their first win over Pioneer in high school history. The Culver Cavs, we're going to talk about all of them next here on the Saturday Sports Line.
Holding on to precious memories the way we used to be.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we've been serving family farms for over 130 years. We've seen our customers succeed in good times, pull through in tough times, and we've learned some lessons along the way. So we appreciate the customers we have today by finding the solutions they'll be looking for tomorrow. Are you ready to talk about your farm operation? Stop by a branch or visit us online at ffbt.com. First Farmers Bank and Trust, Equal Opportunity Lender, member FDIC.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Brems. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392.
Collins Insurance Agency in Knox has done it again. They have earned the distinction of preferred agency partner from the Western Reserve Insurance Company.
Can't touch this.
So what does that mean for you? Collins Insurance Agency provides themselves of taking care of its community. That means providing the best insurance that keeps you and your family safe in a time of need. And with this honor, Collins Insurance Agency looks forward to providing Stark and surrounding counties the best customer service you and your family deserve. Collins Insurance Agency in Knox, living the golden rule by treating you like family.
Here's more with area high school coaches as we return to the Saturday Sports Line from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios on K99.3.
Ball on Satellites 30 as Krug's going to take the snap and hand off the Cruz up the middle. He's going to get nothing as the Satellites snuff him out. One of the players on the play, 24, Brad Bashinsky. Huge tackle by him.
And that was a call from last night's South Central versus South Newton game as we were on hand for WKVI's Game of the Week. Welcome back to the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios. I am Mitch Columbia along with sports analyst Chris McGowan. We're talking the Culver Community Cavaliers for their big win over the Pioneer Panthers. First time in school history. I don't want to wait any longer. Let's go ahead and bring in head coach Mike Zehner. I got to talk to Mike. Huge win last night. Congratulations, first and foremost. It doesn't matter how you're doing this morning. I need to know all about last night. I'm still feeling the energy. I mean, I saw your guys' post on social media. Huge win for you guys. You're stringing them along now. That's 3 in a row. You got to be happy where you're at.
Yeah, we're definitely playing our best football right now. That's what you want to be doing, week 8. So we're going into week 9. But, man, it was great team win, great team effort all around, going over to the pit. Never easy place to play. Never an easy place to get a win over there either. And we talked to the kids all week. Talked to them like, hey, this isn't some times where we've gone over there thinking we got to play our best game and they got to play their worst. And for us to even have a chance, we got to be confident. We got to make sure that we realize that we can win this football game. And I thought our kids responded well all week. Practice was great this week. Offensively, defensively. Thought Coach Faust called a great game, mixing in the pass and run. I think we had 117 yards passing last night. And, Schumann was over 100 yards on the ground. Cato was at 96 yards on the ground. We did some really nice things, mixing it in and not just being a one-horse show. And, we had some big plays in that game that really, really dictated what we did. And just an awesome feeling, obviously, getting the first win ever against Pioneer. Obviously, Coach Barry and the Pioneer Panthers do it the right way. The top for as long as they've been and not doing it the right way, and he has. And just a total class act to come over and talk and chat after the game as well. So, but no, Schumann was over 100 yards last night. I think he had 33 carries. But I really thought Jason Cato was our difference last night. And Jason, he was, I think, 11 of 12 or 12 of 13 or something like that, with one interception. So I was teasing him on the bus and said, hey, I think you actually completed all your passes. The one was just to the other team. But
Coach is always finding that positivity, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm just Mr. Positive all the time, right? He actually called his number, though, and I told him I'd give him all the credit. We were running some tee. We got some short yardage stuff and lined up in the tee, and we got 3 or 4 yards. We're like, hey, let's just keep with it for a little bit here. And we're running power and wedge and trap and things like that. And he's like, hey, he comes over to the sideline and get a play from me. He's like, hey, I can keep this on the corner. I was like, well, I'll look at it here. I go, let's just worry about getting the first down. It's like 4th and 2. I go, let's not do that yet, And sure enough, I watched him. I'm like, man, he did crash pretty hard. I go, oh, let's try it. It's on you, though. And he goes, all right. And he takes it like 45 yards for a touchdown, just like a naked boot, and keeps it on the corner. And, and Jason had another big play that really was, I think, the difference there, especially in the first half, gave us all the momentum. It was like 4th and 2 on our territory. We're going to punt. And Coach Barry actually called timeout. They had 12 guys on the field, and I said, hey, let's go. And we had our punt team out there, and I said, hey, let's go ahead and switch this. Let's go ahead and run our offense. Let's go right from the huddle, get to the football, and run it. And so Coach actually called like a little keep of a shotgun. Coach Faust did, and everybody went with Schumann, and they were kind of scattered because they were still in the punt return formation, and he took it down to the 4-yard line. Jason Cato did. So couple big plays there that really, we set up. I think it was 22-8 at halftime, and then we shut them out the second half. And our kickoff team, our kickoff coach is me, and we got to work on a little bit more there. But it felt like every time they got the ball, it was at the 50. So we didn't do ourselves any favors there, giving them good field position, starting field position. But I thought our defense just played lights out last night. Oliver Morgan came up, had some really big plays. He led our team in tackles. Shane Schumann really felt like the difference was number 50 for us, Ben Lee. He really strung some things out. They run a lot of down, a lot of power. Last night they did a little more quarterback read than what they've shown. The freshman Rams kid's a pretty good athlete. He ended up playing quarterback the entire time, where they've been kind of doing this 2-quarterback system. And I think it's a good thing for Pioneer going forward. He's just going to get better, and they got more athletes on the field, I think, with him. And then so really did a nice job with Toulouse. I think we held him to under 70 yards on the night. He's been a big playmaker. I think he had a kickoff return for a touchdown last week against Knox, and he was over 100 yards pretty much all season. So to hold him under 100 was big for our defense.
I know on a week-in, week-out basis, we usually bring up Kyle Kling at least once. The question is, how were you able to keep him contained last night after the win? I'm sure he was probably ready to strap that MPV to his back, and let's get back to Culver.
So the last play, we ended up caused a fumble. Almost, thought we recovered it. It was like 15 seconds ago, and they were down 20, and he's just going nuts. He's making subs, and I look at him and go, Coach, you guys calm down, man. Like, you're not going to run another play. There's less than 15 seconds on the clock, and he's subbing all of his D linemen in and out, and I'm like, just chill. I think we're good. He's funny. At one time, I think into the fourth quarter there, and the sidelines are kind of quiet. He looks around and looks at him and goes, "Hey guys, we're winning. You know that, right? Like you can get excited here." But obviously his energy he brings, not just to the game, but every single day at practice, and even in the classroom. He's one of our best teachers in what he does, and I think it's neat to have the senior nights, and the kids recognize who one of their favorite teachers are, and it's Kyle Kling, 8 times out of 10, it seems like, and it's a credit what he does and what he puts in and the effort he puts in, obviously on and off the field. But he's truly an asset that, he's not listening, so I'm going to go ahead and say all that good stuff about him. Because he'll just tell me it's all fluff.
Right.
Hey, well, don't tell me that. That hurts my feelings. I want to hear he is listening, and he is hearing everything we are saying and hanging on our every word, Coach. No, hey.
He says everything I do is just fluff, so don't worry about it.
Well, how are you guys looking health-wise right now?
Really good, yeah. I think we had Travis went down a little bit last night, but then came right back in. But no, nobody got even. I don't think anybody got even nice afterwards. And it's always a good cure when you have a OW that you feel a little bit better, even if you get some bumps and bruises. Obviously, it's a physical football game. We're gonna have those, but injuries. Health of the football team looks good.
All right, Coach. You have the LaVille Lancers coming to town next week. You guys can play the role of spoiler. LaVille comes in, they get the win, they take the conference outright, but your Cavaliers had that opportunity to make them share that title. You going to use that as a little extra motivation, maybe?
Oh, no doubt. We will. We'll talk about it. Obviously, that was a huge game last night, and easily could have went either way. It's not very often. I actually, Coach Lambert reached out to me and sent me a text last night, and I said, "Hey, man, you guys played a heck of a game. It's weird to be in this day and age, and we're on the bus ride home, and we're watching it on my phone. We got about the entire team gathered around on the bus watching the Judson-LaVille game going on. So it's big. It was a big game for the conference. Obviously, a big game for LaVille and North Judson as well. And what a great game. Well played by both teams. And I'm still in the middle of breaking everything down, but it's just good football. And H-Nax plays some great football, and that was a big game last night. And I know Coach Lambert's probably disappointed in the outcome, but man, he can't be disappointed in the effort and how the kids played. And that's a big game for them. Obviously LaVille's very talented in what they do. They got some big guys up front. They're going to be playing physical football. We understand that. They got athletes. So we want to play that role of spoiler. We like being the underdog. Nobody picks us, and we like to sneak up on people. And I think we're playing our best football. I think I said it before. It's a physical game, but game's going to be one in the trenches. And we didn't like how we played two of our games this year against Triton and Knox, and how we weren't the most physical football team. And I told them 9 times out of 10 the most physical football team is going to win. And, that's something that we pride ourselves in and what we do with our brand. And, so we got to continue to build on that. And I think, we look at this offensive line that we probably don't talk enough about, but guys like Stephen Pugh and Ben Lee and Devin Burkett and Braden Molbash and Travis Blankenship, those guys, a lot of those guys, I didn't mention their names much last year, and they totally new offensive line, and they've probably grown the most from what start of the season till now, and it's impressive to see, and obviously a lot of credit to Coach Kling and what he's done with those guys.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on your third win in a row, and good luck next week against LaVille. We're going to have head coach Brett Lambert up next. You'll be able to hear what he has to say, maybe take some notes, get ready for next week.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's head coach of the Culver Cavaliers, Mike Zehner, on the line. We so appreciate his time. We're getting a chance to talk with Brett Lambert, head coach of the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays next. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKBI.
It ain't all it seems. Yeah, the way we used to be, even in your dreams.
Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Brian Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Browns. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392, the Stark County Co-op.
Life is busy. At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we offer mobile banking, online account opening, and mobile check deposit, so you can take care of your banking and get back to the people who matter most to you, while we take care of the people who matter most to us, our customers. Visit us online at ffbt.com to learn more. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
Welcome back to the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios. I am Mitch Columbi. The tradition continues here on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana history. Along with me is sports analyst Chris McGowan. We have with us a special guest this morning, head coach of the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays, Brett Lambert. Coach, tough loss last night, but went the distance. Talked to us last night about what your kids went through and everything that went on.
I have to say, the magnitude of this football game, just to kind of put things into perspective, you heard Coach Zehner talking about, on the bus ride home, him and the kids watching it on the phone. I'm down on the sidelines last night at South Central doing South Central, South Newton. I got the officials coming over and asking me updates on the North Judson-LaVille game. I've got coaches from both teams.
They know he's the sideline reporter,
asking me if I've got updates on the game. I mean, even the coach from South Newton at halftime before we do the interview, hey, well, the Judson-LaVille score.
They know who to ask.
So just to put it out there, yeah, everybody knew about that game last night. So go ahead, Coach, tell us what happened.
I mean, there was a lot of build-up. I mean, Channel 46 and a lot of media outlets kind of, reached out for, quotes and stuff during the week. And it, from a fan, especially from somebody who's not a even Judson-LaVille fan, just from an outsider's perspective, I think it was just an awesome game to watch. The outcome for us, obviously, wasn't the best, but we'll learn from this for sure. I know when I get done with the show here, I'm gonna go back to the locker room, and us coaches are really gonna pick apart this film. When you do that, you pick apart yourself a little bit, because every game, you make maybe some decisions that you don't feel great about, and this one, just like any other, but it becomes magnified in a game like this. And then the same with the players. I mean, when we get there on Monday, we're going to have a little probably overtime session of watching film with them as well. No pun intended there, I guess. But we're going to really have to break things down with them and just let them know that this is what we need to work on. We finally we saw an opponent that was equal to us and end up being just a smidge better last night. But where are we going to go from here? And where we're going to go is we're just going to get back to work, and that's where we're going to go.
I was going to say the mentality of this team, again, from the outside looking in, and having been a Judson graduate, it seems like this team kind of takes the challenges on head on and are willing to do what it takes. And I guarantee you, if you go down the list, all 22 starters, and ask them man to man, what could you have done better? They'd have an honest answer for you.
Well, yeah, and we even talked about, I think even Coach Howard said this after the game, let's make sure that we're, not looking at what somebody else could do better. So what can you do better? What could I have done better, as a player? And then, like I said, coaches do the same thing, and pick yourself apart a little bit. But I also told them before they got off the bus, at the locker room, we're gonna put this one behind us. Now it's time to move forward. I mean, this was a big game. We all know it. It was fun. Leading up to it and all that. Maybe some people, maybe they're gonna start canceling their hotel plans after Thanksgiving in the North Jets community. But I don't think that has to happen. But that's kind of what happens after you start 7-0. They're making their plans. Now we lose this game, they're like, oh, maybe we're not that good. Well, no, that's not the case. We played a heck of a team, and just in that game last night, the game was, just awesome in a lot of respects, and just the fact that it was so close and tight, and every game that we have with LaVille is, it's just the way it is when we play LaVille. But what was, I guess, cool about the game was there was so much respect on both sides. There was no jawing back and forth. There's people helping each other, up. After the game, the handshake line, it was just, really a respectful thing. I've talked about before, but just, knowing Coach Ostrauser and just having a good relationship with him. It's just a mutual respect, and I respect what they do with their program and just the type of man he is, and just that senior class they have. We have a great senior class, but they got kids like DeWitt at running back and Rich Hart at linebacker, and B-Doc. These are guys that we've just known for years now, and they're just they were classy, hardworking guys, and again we got the same type of guys, but it was a very hard played game last night.
Well, to add to that. We were at the South Central game, but Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WYMR was there. I just got a text from the boss, Tony Ross. He wanted me to let you know that in 35 years of broadcasting, your team is an absolute amazing team to watch, he said. He said that you're a class act, and he appreciates you yesterday, and just wanted to make sure and get those in. He wanted to acknowledge that it was a heck of a game last night. And I thought that was interesting. In 35 years of broadcasting, he couldn't believe how amazing that team was to watch last night. An unfortunate loss, but just wanted to pass that along. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
You're fine. No, you're fine. I got home last night a little bit, after 11 fast time, so the Channel 46 game had already started. I actually, when I turned it on, I got to see the block punt. It had just happened there in the first quarter. Watching the game, you could see the respect. You could tell that there was no jawing. Every time there was a tackle, whether it be a Judson kid that was at the bottom of the pile or a LaVille kid at the bottom of the pile, there was always the opposite color reaching out a hand to help that kid up, and you could just see it on TV. Just the respect that's been earned over the years with these guys just constantly battling and butting of heads. It was actually really nice to see.
Well, and we even said afterwards, coaches, just what else could we expect from the outcome of that game? We wanted to win, but of course they did as well. And just winning last year in overtime, where they missed an extra point and we got one, and then the year before that we got a field goal, and then here we are losing in overtime, and there's so many things. I haven't broke down the film yet, but I've just from watching. We had more opportunities to maybe score, get some first downs. It didn't happen. Just whether it's players, coaches, whatever. Let me throw this common denominator out there that they have a heck of a team.
Oh yeah, they had all 22 starters back from a year ago.
So sometimes we can do things well, but they're just doing things very well on a play, and it doesn't look good.
Right.
But maybe if we were playing somebody else, it would look awesome. We're scoring a touchdown, but against them, it's a 2-yard gain, and that's what you get in those big games. But just to get back to it, like you mentioned that block punt, that was a heck of an effort. Logan Radtke had just an awesome block on that. That set up our first touchdown. Cheyenne ended up with 3 touchdowns last night. So he had a good game there. We just, especially in the second half, we just have enough opportunities to get more plays and to get more touches for everybody. And then Josiah McDaniel, there was a play on defense that he just came up and whacked their running back. Well, actually, he whacked the running back the play before. Then he comes up the next play, hits him again, strips the ball, and gets it back. But that's one of those opportunities though that we got the ball back, but we couldn't get in the end zones. We had the ball about their 25 or 30. There's just some opportunities out there that we didn't take advantage of.
Yeah, the halfback pass.
Halfback pass, yeah. Again, we had that set up nice, but again, not everything works your way. That's just part of the game. And then the big play, we didn't get a 2-point conversion. We scored. So just a quick rundown. We go up.
I was about to ask.
We go up 8-0. Then they score. It's 14-8 them. We come back, score. It's 15-8. I'm giving you the real quick version here.
Right.
But we end up going up 21-14. Sorry. We line up for the extra point. They go off sides. So okay, so we got half the distance. We're going to go for 2 now. We're going to make this a 2-possession game. We get stuffed. If we get that, 2-point conversion, we're up 9. I think that's a heck of a difference.
Yeah,
huge difference in the game. But then there's also that part of you as a coach thinking, well, what if we just kick the extra point? Of course, we're not an automatic with our extra point. So you can't really play that game. And I think any coach worth their salt, if they only have to go 1.5 yards to get a 2-point conversion, they should do it.
Exactly.
Especially if you can make it a 2-possession game. But there's just things like that where you just kind of think afterwards, well, maybe if we got the extra point, we were up 8. Maybe they don't get a 2 later in the game and we win.
Hindsight's always 20/20. Yeah, it's a bunch of what ifs. But I agree with you. Hey, with that offensive line, with that experience that you have, you got Benson in the backfield, Cheyenne Allen in the backfield. I like my chances of getting 1.5 yards.
I agree.
So, and you can't beat yourself up over it.
Because if the missed field goal had happened, you'd beat yourself over. Why didn't you go for 2? So, we could play this game all day.
Oh, well, that's for sure.
And it's just like what you said a couple weeks ago. You can't start looking at different weeks and stuff. It's about what is happening now and in the moment and paying attention to the moment. And your team, the Blue Jays, do a heck of a good job of staying in the moment. I can only imagine the taste that it left in their mouth last night. Boy, I'd be scared if I was Pioneer next week.
Well, we're gonna hit the reset button and it's back to work. And again, we got a good film here to evaluate and to see where we're at and not that we're gonna be making any big changes. That doesn't need to happen, but just tweaking some things. And then we get a team who we haven't beaten since George Bush was president. So if you want to evaluate that for a little bit, how long that's been.
Really?
Bush was president. Me and Coach.
We were on the sideline. Yeah, we were on the sidelines together.
Yeah, so this has been a long time.
08.
So yeah, senior night. There's not going to be anything that I need to do to get these guys ready for the game, speech-wise. I think they're going to be ready to go, and I know Pioneer's record's not what it has been, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to show up and give our best effort and see what happens, and then get ready for the playoffs. We got the draw tomorrow, and we'll have a good idea of what the road may look like, and we're planning on I guess you could say buckling up and getting ready for a long road.
I meant to ask you, sorry, real quick. I meant to ask you this last week. Is Kenyon Minix doing okay?
Yeah, he played last night. He's not 100%. We got out of the game pretty healthy. I actually feel bad for LaVille. Plummer, their quarterback, got hurt in the third quarter.
Oh, really?
Quarterback, safety, kicker, punter. So they finished the game. The Zarnecki kid did a great job filling in for him. They almost didn't miss a beat. But
wow.
But I just talking to Will after the game, I'm not so sure that Plummer's going to be back this year. That's not me giving the doctor's diagnosis, but
right.
It didn't sound good, and you just feel bad for him because he's a heck of an athlete, and with the team they got, I hope he can be back.
Yeah, you don't want to see that on any side of the ball, that's for sure.
Well, for a team like North Judson, you made the semi-state last year. Last night actually was the midpoint season. The goal was to get back to semi-state, win it, get to play on Thanksgiving weekend. So yeah, we start off 7-0. Last night's the midpoint. Get that bad taste in your mouth and finish the season with a 7-win run.
We're guaranteed 2 games right now,
right?
But we could play 7. That's where we're at, and I even told the kids, after the game, just to reference Adams Central, I said, Adams Central, when they played us last year, had 1 loss. They lost to East Side, which was a really good 2A team,
right?
Which ended up going, I think, to semi-state maybe last year. So they had that taste in their mouth last year, and I'm sure that their coaches didn't, whine about it and dwell on it. They just moved on and got better because of it. So we're gonna do the same thing.
And I think, coming out of last night's game, I think both North Judson and LaVille are better for having that battle take place last night, and you learn a lot, obviously. Whether you win or you lose in a game like that, it's a true measuring stick when you get 2 programs like that. So again,
perfect time of the year too.
Exactly. Nothing to be ashamed of, really. But it's behind you now, and so next week, senior night at Liberty Field, Pioneer Panthers coming to town.
We'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Well, that's awesome, guys.
Yeah, pregame starts at 6 o'clock. We hope you join us then. That's head coach of the North Judson-San Blue Jays, Brett Lambert. We appreciate his time as always. We'll see him this Friday. We're going to take a break and come right back. Don't go anywhere. We've got more coming, as this is a fantastic Saturday Sports Line as always. We're so happy to be here for you. We've got head coach of the Knox Redskins. You know him, Russ Radtke. Another win to add into the win column for them as they took it to Triton last night. Stick around. Russ Radtke's next here on the Saturday Sports Line.
Holding on to precious memories the way.
Coke knows there's nothing better than the beat of the summer. The beat begins in a simple and mellow place, from low-key to hyped up. So we're helping you and your friends drink it all in with 100 days of the artist's experiences, tracks, and concerts with the best names in music, all at Coke Studio. Drink, scan, and enjoy your Coke so you never miss out on all the amazing offers we're dropping this summer.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
Here's more with area high school coaches as we return to the Saturday Sports Line from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios on K99.3.
Back for more. You know who it is. Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios. I am Mitch Columbi, sitting here with the head coach of the Knox Redskins. Big win last night in Bourbon, and I'm not talking the drink, I'm talking Bourbon, Indiana, as the Redskins took it to Triton 38-32. Must have been a tight one, Coach. Talk us through it and how it ended.
Well, it's just a place you just don't like to go play at. I'm sorry.
You said that last week.
I did it at New Prairie, and then I did it at North Judson. And it's just a great atmosphere for them. Those locker rooms, walking through the parking lots, fans are all. It's just a great home setting for that team, and it kind of intimidates the opponent.
Just the way it's set up.
It's great for them, and we had to fight right through the whole thing. I mean, we had tremendous yardage and. Up 16-0 and had the ball. A few minutes later, we're behind.
Just within a few minutes.
It just the way things happened, but resiliency, and we still got a touchdown right before half that put us back ahead. So that's a good team. Like I told you, this conference is something else. I wouldn't want to have to play this conference again this year. I mean, it's tough teams. I just saw Winamac on film against the Comets, and they look good. Winamac is playing football now.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, Culver put it to Pioneer, and these things like this are all coming good to each other. And it's who your opponent is that makes you what you're going to be for the future. And Triton last night had 8 seniors on defense. They really came at us, did a heck of a job. I mean, we ran 70 plays and they ran 32, but they were still right there. And we had a running back that McLaughlin rushed for 202. But I wished he would have ran for 201 because he scored a touchdown when there's no timeouts on their side of the ball and put us ahead. And that touchdown, we've done this before. We've actually let the opponent score so we could get the ball back and be down. And we were down. They were down 12 with no timeouts. A few minutes later, they're onside kicking with a chance to get the ball to win.
Oh, my gosh.
We go for the 2-point conversion. And just look at this. We go for the 2-point conversion. And I've never seen this, like I told you. This is like the Mr. Fix-It show, that comes in on Saturday mornings, okay? For coaches to try to fix every little thing. We had a 15-yard penalty on the 2-point conversion for blocking too hard. And to a late hit, it ended up being called.
Right.
Well, we don't get the 2-point conversion, and we kick off 15 yards further back.
So they're...
I mean, what a thing that happened. I've never seen that on an extra point. Then, coordination, whatever got messed up, we had 12 guys on the field on the next offensive play.
And this is towards the end of the game.
Yeah, with under close to a minute or less.
So you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
So they get a yardage, then the 15-yard for 12 guys on the field. 3 plays later, they score 2 plays later, and they're kicking off with 40-some seconds to go with an onside kick. This is the things that's a little element, and like with we said, hey, I would never turn down an opportunity to go watch a high school game or a college game compared to a pro game. You just never know what's going to happen out there. And the things that can take place within a few seconds with teenagers or whatever. But we got to keep working with it. They keep doing a good job. Like I said, McLaughlin had 202 yards. Watson had 76 yards, looks like. And Xavier Roman had 47. So that offensive line is coming on and doing a great job. I felt our defense did some things and snapped at times. And, we had another chance to score a touchdown on a 1-foot line and didn't get in. So these are little things, and that's nothing against us. That's just Triton's defense is tough. I'm telling you, those guys really play football and come at it you hard. And you might break one eventually, but they definitely nickel-dime you. And that created a great opportunities all the way around on both sides.
So you're starting to understand now why, for the past few weeks, anytime anybody's going to Bourbon, I always say it's one of my least favorite places to go because the craziness that happens, I don't know, it's like spirits there or something. Just the football gods just do crazy things.
Well, and the field is flat as a pancake, too. There is no,
so it doesn't.
There's no crown. There's no crown at all.
No.
Totally flat. And sometimes.
And did it rain last night?
Thank gosh it didn't.
Because it was raining in South Central.
No, it was perfect out there. But you get that, sometimes when you want to run them sweeps or those outside plays, you want to be coming downhill.
Exactly.
Well, there ain't no downhill over there. Sometimes it might be going up as you go outside. I'm just saying.
And then they make you walk from
oh, my gosh. It's
the parking lot.
Phenomenal. But to get there, you got to go through a parking lot.
Worse than Judson? Because the Judson makes the away team walk across the parking lot,
It's
too.
a longer parking lot than that. It's just where you go through the same gate as the fans. I mean, I ended up walking out with the officials.
See, that's definitely designed. I feel like that's designed.
I mean, everything is good, but that's just a great atmosphere, and they're doing a great job over there, man. I mean, for 1A football, they play tough football, and they've always been a hard one to win, and we talked about Dave Vesely and his year. He used to be one of my assistant coaches.
Right.
And,
really?
And I remember playing Triton, and I think it was a playoff game, if I remember right, back at North Judson. And I remember Dave Vesely and I driving all over this area out there to the east, picking up films and figuring out defenses and so forth that we were going to set up during the year. There's a lot of things that Dave Vesely did for athletics as well, but you got to remember, he also along with myself, we were the EMT ambulance drivers at Knox for over, I believe, 8 to 9 years.
Oh you were?
I forgot about that.
I didn't know. Are you an EMT?
I forgot about that.
On the sidelines during game nights, we had the radio right there on our hip. Now, thank God there was two ambulances at that place, but I don't know what would have had to happen if that second one went out. That would have been me and Dave.
Yeah.
But we would be on call from probably 7 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning with radios, midnight, anytime. We'd be out driving into Chicago, Berrien, Indiana, Indianapolis, hauling people, taking them back and forth. He was the EMT, and I was the driver. And we would be doing a lot of those things too. And
Russ Radtke, the EMT driver.
These are the things that little people don't know outside.
I would have never known that about you.
But how you get through it and the things that you did at that time of your life, and Dave and I, and the things that we did together, that family was, I mean, the whole Vesley family is just phenomenal. I mean, they ran banks, and my great-grandfather came in from Germany or Belgium or whatever, and I have his paperwork that brought him in, his card, that gives him a thing, and it's signed. And I can't remember I think it's Gus Vesley. I mean,
relation.
Yeah, it's his grandpa or whatever. Brought him into the United States, gave him his papers for registration,
and then you guys ended up working together.
But that's just coincidence, right. And that's just something that Stark County has got to relate to. That everybody's got a little bit of elbow here and there, and how these teams and these kids come along. And, for us to be able, we got 8:30 this morning, JV's out there practicing and going at it, and the varsity's coming in, and the community and everybody, I just really appreciate it. And it's good to be right now at that opportunity with 5 and 3, because very easily, you talked about the game just previous, we get that 2-point conversion against LaVille, there's a 3-way tie for first place.
Yep. Right.
That's how close it is, And so when you don't do this, you don't do that, you just got to go on and have fun with it and be appreciative of why these young kids work so hard to get to where they're at.
Well, yeah, you're 2 plays away from being 7-1.
Yeah, but then again, I would agree with that. If we get 201 yards, we last night. But how do you tell a freshman it's pop loose and get away and not to score?
Exactly.
Yeah. The excitement, how to get it done. How you going to tell? And if he would have went down there, but what the heck is that? What are they doing out there? So these are elements of learning experience to find out what you got to do and how important things all take place all the time. And like I said, it's just like the Mr. Fix-It show. The only thing, luckily, I don't have people calling in every day asking me questions how to fix it, okay?
Right.
Someday we might be a consultant to come up with answers and so forth. But right now, we're trying to work with our own young kids, and it's great.
Well, week in, week out, you come in, you talk about wanting to play your best football come week 7, week 8, week 9, going into the playoffs. And again, once again, this Knox Redskin team at the right time of the year seems to be playing their best football.
Yeah, for sure.
And you get an opportunity next week, probably senior night, I would imagine, right? Caston coming to town on senior night?
Yeah, it'll be our last home game, I'm sure that's when we haven't had it yet. So senior night will be here, and it's good to get in here and tell these 11 and seniors that we have that we're very thankful for what they accomplished, and we'll get them all in a starting role. But I tell you, a team that really big I get scared about is one has won a game. Those guys are ornery and heck.
Right.
I just talked to Kansas City. Exactly. Kansas City got beat by the Colts a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And they were top of the world. Next thing you know, they get whooped on. And you cannot anticipate where that, if we had a ball like they play basketball, you never know where it's going to bounce and so forth. This game, they onside kicked, I think, 3 times and got 2 of them. These are all
last night.
Yeah, these are all. If not, it was close. But I'm saying that. But our kickoff team was able to hit and cause 2 fumbles to get us the ball. So these are all equal things. It's fantastic, and we would really enjoy everybody coming to that game, seeing the band. The band's getting ready for their state competition and so forth. Everybody get in here and have fun here next Friday night. We'll have a good game.
Well, how you health-wise?
Oh, I'm doing just what? Fine.
When was your last checkup? No, I'm kidding.
That was last Thursday. It was not the proctologist, though. That one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it definitely was a. We're good. We got a couple kids banged up here and there. Brinkley had to have some meniscus cleaned out. Whether he can make it back into the playoff run, we'll see here in a couple weeks or whatever. He was a big defensive lineman for us that we really were counting on, so we're kind of out him. But everybody else is doing just fine, I think, right now.
That comment right there, it just reminded me of the who was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach a long time ago, and at halftime,
Gruden.
Yeah. No, it was well before Gruden when they were
He was at USC.
Yeah, when they were going through their long spell of not winning, and the halftime reporter asked, "How are you about the execution of his football team?" And he says he was in favor of it.
That's right. The execution.
That's exactly what he said.
Your answer right there.
Well, didn't Brian Kelly of Notre Dame say something like that?
Right.
He said the whole team needs to be executed or something like that.
To get it done right. But
to get it done right.
Sometimes you gotta laugh about it and feel good about things that take place. You wonder really what goes on all the time out there. But in this sport, more than anything, cross country, give it to them, swimming, all those things. I coach track, wrestling. You just never know what's going to happen. And with football, it's really a thing that you can really try to get that camaraderie and get those 11 guys coming back and wanting to do both sides of the ball. And we'll make sure that all the seniors get to start somewhere next week on senior night, which is something we always try to do over all the years I've coached. And they deserve that opportunity, and then work everybody through.
You're a heck of a lot nicer than an old coach at Rushville. I'll tell you a story real quick. It's senior night. This is a true story. The head coach goes up to one of the seniors. "You ready to go? You ready to play tonight?" "Yeah, by the way, you're not starting." On senior night. You're a heck of a lot nicer than that. And who was it you were thinking of?
Yeah, he just said it, but I couldn't hardly hear it. But yeah, he knows.
John McKay.
John McKay. That's who you're talking about.
John McKay.
It's about time to execute the whole thing.
Well, hey,
with at halftime.
Well, I appreciate your time as always, Coach. It's fun to talk with you every week, and good luck next week against Caston. Of course, this season's not over. We're excited for you in the postseason and looking forward to it.
Well, it's something that is part of this fall's going fast, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I can't see how the games have gone and so forth, but you just got to enjoy the moment. See what happens that you can keep trying to work with. And as long as they keep coming in the door, it's our job to keep working with them. No matter who the coach is and where your time is, that effort's what's important out there. And those parents are dropping them off, not for babysitting.
Right.
They're looking forward for something to get productive getting done for them. So we'll keep getting it done, and I appreciate everything you guys do.
Hey, thanks, Coach. That's head coach of the Knox Redskins, Russ Radtke, here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to go to the top of the hour. Stick around for our Athlete of the Week segment. We have our Knox Girls High School golf team. Had a chance to sit down and talk with the 5 girls, and stick around. That's coming up next here on the Saturday Sports Line.
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, quality care closer to home. You're listening to WKVI FM 99.3. Knox, North Judson, Winamac, playing the best of vinyl gold. A service of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting.
Fox News, I'm Jill Nato. After some 17,000 migrants were bussed in from the U.S.-Mexico border into his city, New York's Mayor Adams declares an emergency, and
this executive order will formally direct all relevant agencies to coordinate their efforts to construct the humanitarian relief centers.
Republican governors from border states claim the buses in New York are a fraction of what their states are seeing. At the height of Hurricane Ian in Florida last week, over 2.5 million customers lost power. PowerOutage.us says that's down now to 75,000, and Governor Ron DeSantis says he's proud of the resilience residents are showing.
The only thing they can say is thanks everybody else for everything everyone else is doing. There was no, oh, woe is me. It was, we really appreciate that we have great first responders.
He also says search and rescue efforts are continuing. America's listening to Fox News.
Can't believe this new $2 cheesy double beef burrito has all these kinds of cheese going on. Plus nacho cheese sauce. It's like they read my mind when they made this.
Nah, they couldn't have read your mind because it also comes in spicy, so they must have read my mind.
Are you really getting competitive over whose mind Taco Bell is reading?
Maybe.
Try Taco Bell's new $2 cheesy double beef burritos. Burritos with a 3-cheese blend, nacho cheese sauce, and double the seasoned beef in classic and spicy. At participating stores for a limited time while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Tax extra. Double the seasoned beef as compared to beefy melt burrito.
From the K99.3 Weather Center, here's your forecast.
Today will be a tale of two different weather situations. We're going to stay in the 70s until a front's going to move through later on tonight. So today's high will be around 73 degrees, but once the front moves through with the rain, it'll be off and on for the rest of the night. Low of 43, but a high of only 54 on Friday.
That's your weather forecast from the station that brings you vinyl gold, the best music of the 60s and 70s, WKVI. From the WKVI Weather Studio, it's 43.
It's time now for Hour 2 of the Saturday Sports Line with your host, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
Welcome back to the second hour here on the Saturday Sports Line. I am Mitch Columbi. The tradition continues here on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI, as we are so glad to be here to talk about our athlete of the week from last week. It was the Knox High School girls golf team. I had a chance to sit down and have a nice conversation with Aaron Messer, Joey Montague, Bethany Barnes, Jalen, and Jordan Goins. They were the first girls golf team in Knox history to advance to regionals. Here's my sit-down interview with the 2022 Knox girls golf team. What was it this season that really stood out to you now looking back?
I started better than last year, but it progressed a lot as the season went through.
I don't know, I just didn't expect to get this far, but like the girls we had this year felt almost like family, you know? Like we were all together. We fought for our spots, and I'm just glad we all got the chance to get there.
We had a ton of fun.
Yeah.
What is it about golf that you love?
I like that it's a team sport, but you also have your own individual goals and things that you can score well in a meet and help your team win, but you can also just do well for yourself.
May I ask what your personal goal was this season?
My personal goal was to shoot low 50s most of the time.
Did you have a personal goal as well?
To get better than I did the match before, which was 40s. I wanted to shoot 40s this year.
So you take it one match at a time type of mentality.
Yeah.
And what was your goal for this season?
My goal was to stay consistent. I was hoping to stay in the 40s. One of my favorite parts of going here as coach, he was so proud of us. Like you could see it all over his face. He was tearing up. He was so sweet.
Even when we did rough in regionals, we all huddled up at the end, and he was like, "I love you girls," and he was crying. We were all crying. It was just, I'm glad we made it together.
For him, he was so happy.
Did you know when you won that day that you were the first team to ever do it in history, or was that something you had learned like the next day, or?
I knew going into sectionals that if we did, his coach had talked to all of us about how serious it could be. But before then, I had no idea.
So he told you leading up to the match, hey, there's never been a team in history.
Yeah.
Tell me about that speech that your head coach, Dave Miller, gave you guys that morning.
That morning we were told that we have a chance of going to regionals, and we would be the first ever girls golf team from Knox to go to regionals. And it all hit us, like we worked very hard for this. A lot of girls put in extra time, not during season. We would spend time doing tours in the summer, and it felt like a relief, like we did it, like we did something memorable here at Knox.
Tell me what the morning was like for you. I mean, this is your first year competing at this type of level, this early on in the school year as well. So you're going from 8th grade. I'm guessing you played sports in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So you're going from 8th grade competition to right in the fall. Yeah, freshman year, you're in competition. Tell me what that was like.
It was very nerve-wracking because I knew I was going to be golfing with girls that had many more experiences. I golfed with seniors most of the time when I was there. So it was definitely very challenging, and when I got up there, I was like, just have fun with it. It is what it is. Just try your best and that's what I did.
So what's it like being on the same golf team as your younger sister?
Frustrating. No, no, it's not. I love golfing with my sister. She's funny to golf with.
It was really a good experience golfing with her. I had a lot of good memories with her, and she helped me a lot. So
is she the reason you got into golf?
Yeah, she was one of the main reasons I got into golf.
And have you played golf all 4 years?
No, I've only played golf 3 years. I started my sophomore year.
As a team, you guys are a grade point average of 3.6. That's really good. It says Jalen here is a 4.0493.
Yep. I have always developed a love for studying. My sophomore year, I wanted to achieve above a 4.0 because all of my peers had very high GPAs, and I wanted to be up there like them.
What is it about studying and getting good grades that you enjoy?
I really enjoy school, and I have goals to be something in science or medicine when I grow up, so it's important to get good grades now.
So it sounds like that was instilled at you at a young age as well, that you knew what you wanted to do and you have your eyes set on the prize.
Yeah. I guess being in sports, I play softball and golf. And being in sports, I guess it pushes me a little harder to be able to get those good grades because I know that I have not much time because I have practice, school.
And that's your routine?
Yeah.
Same with you. What's your favorite course to take? I'm guessing yours is science.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Mine's probably English.
Okay, that was one of my favorites. What's your?
I liked taking Spanish. I'm not taking it this year, but I liked it last year. I really liked the teacher.
Wow.
Yeah. But I wasn't very good at it. I just enjoyed going, so I had to drop it this year. But I like science too. I'm not good at that either, really, but I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So are you guys like just combined at the hip all year long?
Yeah.
I think that made it easier for a lot of us to come out. Like when I started, Jalen was already playing, and I've played softball with her since we were 6. So it's like, hey, at least I know her. I can come out, and I'm sure you guys knew that me and Jalen were already out here.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you consider the captain of the team?
Jalen, probably. She stays pretty positive and keeps us all up.
Yeah.
And she's the senior?
She's got her head on straight, yeah.
Well, it was a good sit-down interview. I appreciate Aaron, Joey, Bethany, Jalen, and Jordan for taking the time out of their busy schedules. And, of course, I appreciate Richard Warren, the athletic director, for allowing me to interrupt their time during school this past week to get this interview. It's in the record books. It'll always be here. The Knox girls golf team advancing to regionals for the first time. We congratulate them as they are our athlete of the week. We're going to take a break and come right back. Don't go anywhere. Head coach of the Winamac Warriors, Josh Burgess, is here to talk about last night's game. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Brian Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort. Let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios. I'm Mitch Columbi as the tradition continues. As sports analyst Chris McGowan's on hand, we have head coach of the Winamac Warriors, Josh Burgess, in-house, coming off a big win last night over the Caston Comets, 33-12, a much-needed win. Coach, congratulations, and tell us about last night and what you saw on the field.
Yeah, appreciate that. It was a good win for our kids, giving us a little confidence going into the end of the season here. Good game. I'll give Caston a lot of credit. Their kids, play hard. Coach Ulrich does a good job of preparing his kids, and kind of a weird start to the game. We kick off, get a defensive stop, end up with the first 2 drives, actually. We get down inside the 20, right around the 20, don't get any points on the board. Just kind of had some mistakes on key downs. got a couple defensive stops, but then they start moving the ball a little bit, get 2 scores in. We're down 12-0 right at the end of the half, and give our kids credit. We got a score in right at the end of the half, about 25 seconds left. Cash Roth hit Jaden Jones up the seam on a nice pass to get it to 12-7. I thought that was a key point. We, offensively didn't play very well in the first half. Defensively either. Just missed some assignments, didn't recognize formation and get set. So we had a little bit of talk at halftime. Not a lot of yelling and screaming, but we talked about a couple things.
Just a little chat.
Yeah, made some adjustments. And I thought defensively especially played a little bit better. Caston did a good job. They were running away from their trip sets and kind of outmanned us on the backside. So we were able to get through the first half at 12-7 and get to halftime and make some adjustments. And I thought defensively played a lot better. And then offensively too, especially in the fourth quarter, put some good drives together. Had some guys run the ball pretty hard and had some balls bounce our way last night. It was kind of nice.
Finally, man.
Some of the stuff that's happened this year with the 99-yard interception return and fumble returns at the end of the fourth quarter. We had a ball bounce up to Max Gerhardt, and he returned it 70 yards for a touchdown off a fumble. He had a pick in the fourth quarter, too. So, we were talking as a coaching staff after the game. It was just nice to see some of those plays bounce our kids' ways and have a little bit of success with that.
But when you continue to work hard, those things do start to bounce your way, and you just got to wait for that moment, that opportunity, and when it happens and it presents itself, you got to take advantage.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And, we've talked about that. We've made big improvements from week 1 throughout the season, and done a good job of improving. It was nice to kind of see those results on the scoreboard last night.
It sounds like last night's second half might potentially be the best half of football that you guys have had in a while. You said Caston scored the 12 points only in the first half. They didn't score in the second half at all. So your defense really picked things up in the second half. Overall, 33 points in a half is pretty good.
Yeah, and we picked up 26 in the fourth quarter. So, third quarter was kind of back and forth too.
26 in the fourth.
And, got those points on the board. So, just really happy with the kids and the work that they've put in and played a really good second half. Definitely something to build on. Just mentioned a couple quick kids if I could. I thought offensively, Michael Lambert continues to play well. Had about 80 yards rushing for us last night. Had a couple receptions. Cash Roth probably had one of his better games. It was 5 of 10 for about 100 yards, 2 touchdown passes. But the biggest thing I was pleased with, no interceptions. We fumbled a couple snaps last night, but recovered those. Didn't have any turnovers, and that was key for us. Last 2 games, we've turned the ball over 10 times. So to cut those turnovers out was huge. Jaden Jones had a nice game, about 60 yards rushing, had about 70 yards receiving and a touchdown as well. I thought Maddox Buzinski ran the ball hard in limited touches, about 45 yards. And Brody Wall came in at the end, didn't get a lot of touches, but he was really physical, got a touchdown in at the end. And, mentioned Max Gerhardt defensively with that fumble return and interception. Also defensively, too, Talon Garner, our middle linebacker, sophomore, had about 16 defensive points. He's really coming on for a kid that this is the first time he's not been playing with his hand in the ground, going through middle school, and last year he was a defensive lineman for us. So as a sophomore, he's doing a good job. And mentioned Zane Bell as well. Zane's starting to get a little healthier. Zane looked like the old Zane last night.
Yeah.
He's been fighting some injuries throughout the whole year.
He had flashes of it last week too.
So he had good quarterback pressure, some batted passes, a couple tackles for loss. So especially this time of the year, it's good to see those guys putting those things together.
It's amazing, for the common fan who don't understand, a transition like that. A kid having played all of his previous seasons with his hand in the dirt, to now standing him up and putting him in space. When you're a defensive lineman, basically, you have a gap that you have to control. Now, when you're a linebacker and you're in space, you have gaps. And like I said, I don't think the common football fan, they may understand the game, but they don't understand how big of a transition that is for a kid to make.
And you're exactly right. And we put a lot in our defense on the middle linebacker. He's responsible for getting everybody set up front. Like you said, he's responsible for multiple things as far as what we do. And for a sophomore to do that, that's tough duty. So he's really improved. And just seeing some improvement from a lot of our kids, especially from that week 1 game against Knox to where we're at now. Just completely different, night and day difference with some of these kids that we're playing.
Yeah, just some of those things, Mike linebacker, hey, he's usually the first one that recognizes the formation, recognizes the strength, because his calls are getting everybody else set. So, yeah, for a sophomore to do that and to make that transition from playing from a 3-point stance to now a 2-point stance, that's huge.
Yeah, doing a nice job. So just really happy with his progression throughout the season, and just really with all our young kids. I thought up front to our offensive line, still have some things we need to work on. Still, sometimes our pad level's not where it needs to be, but we're starting to get some things done on more of a consistent basis. So as long as we keep improving here, we've got another opportunity this week to do so before the tournament. I'm going to be happy with what we're doing.
Well, we just looked at the schedule, and we just got done talking about Triton with Russ Radtke, a tough team, and you've got to travel to Bourbon now. Chris doesn't like traveling there. Russ doesn't like traveling there. Have you been to Bourbon? Have you played Triton, I'm guessing?
Oh, I've been there a couple times. We were up at Knox and also Winamac, too, a couple times.
Are you a fan?
I'll say it's an unusual place.
Okay, there we go.
I'll phrase it that way.
That's the nicest way you could say it.
Yeah, you get there and, you're clear away from the field. Great atmosphere for them.
Oh, yeah.
There's houses right on top of the field. Yeah, you can hear people yelling from the houses. They've got all their banners up. It's a good home field advantage. Like I said, it's kind of an unusual place. I'll leave it at that.
And the football gods seem to have some fun. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Yeah. Now, the one question I do have real quick, and this has nothing to do with Triton or Winamac, but it's been a long time since I've actually been to the pit. You talk about fans from the houses behind the visiting stands. When I coached at North Judson, we would go to Pioneer. There was always a bonfire right behind the visiting stands with a group of guys that were around. And
I've seen that when I've drove on 35 before. I've wondered what they were doing.
Yeah. So does that still take place?
Oh, that still takes place. That's still
at Pioneer.
There.
At Pioneer.
They've redone the bleachers on both sides of the field.
Right,
so
right.
I mean, they've done a nice job with that facility. Field conditions are still about the same though, and you still get that cloud of smoke coming up from behind the visitors' bleachers, especially when it gets a little bit colder this time of year. You're guaranteed to have something burning back there. But yeah.
All right, Coach. Back to
this area of Indiana is something else. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah.
You guys are something else up here. This is crazy.
The task at hand, Triton Trojans. Are you still more worried about what Winamac is doing, or are you starting to maybe put some more emphasis, seeing how the kids are reacting, to putting a little bit more emphasis on the game plan and executing that way?
Right. Yeah, we're always concerned with what we're doing, but again, at the same time, we've got to definitely be mindful of Triton and what they do. They've got a good team.
Right.
Their coaches do an excellent job of getting them prepared. You talk about the Shoe Kid as one of the top backs in the conference. Their quarterback, very athletic. But I know a lot of people have talked about their front. I haven't watched a ton of film on them yet, but I've seen them on the back end a couple times, and their guys up front do a very good job too. So we're going to have our hands full. Tough road game, plus a tough opponent. But I like how our schedule sets up. It does a good job preparing us for the conference, or not conference, excuse me, the sectional. I'll put our conference up against anybody top to bottom. We've got awesome top teams, but I'll give Caston a lot of credit too. That they came out, and you can't just show up in our conference and expect to win a football game.
Right.
You've got to get it done. So that stuff prepares you for the tournament, and I'll put our conference up against any small school conference in the state.
Yeah, week in, week out. You can't take a night off, or you'll end up getting beat. And that's huge for such a small school conference like that. But the top teams are the top teams. But again, even them, you can't take a night off any Friday and expect to win. You're just expect to go there and just flip the switch on at any point. But again, you're right. This conference is great at not only football but in all sports, basketball, baseball, everything. Just very highly competitive. So, sectional draw tomorrow. Doing anything special?
We're not actually. We kind of let our kids be on the weekend, and I'm sure they'll be somewhere watching it, and we'll have an eye on it as well. Haven't talked a lot about it yet. We'll full focus on Triton this week and getting that done. But we're excited to see how it's going to shake out.
You guys moved, right? You guys are. So who's in your sectional?
Yeah, we're up to 2A now, and our sectional. There's a little bit of travel in our section potentially. We've got Central Catholic, Rochester, Lewis Cass, but then in Delphi. But then you start talking about some schools schools that aren't particularly close with Benton Central. Potentially we could end up going to Seeger. So, I mean, there's some travel that could be involved with our sectional and some teams that we don't have a lot of familiarity with. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out on Sunday.
Yeah, the one encounter I had with Seeger was when I was at North Judson, and we drew them in the sectional. And I'm like, where in the world is this at? It was crazy. And they were a really good football team, and we went down there and we handled them pretty good, 63 to like 36 or whatever it was. And I think we had like 800 yards rushing. But anyway, just a weird. Talking about an atmosphere. Just another crazy kind of place, but that sectional is really spread out.
Yeah, it is, and there's good teams there. And Rochester and Cass are having good years. Central Catholic, but I know Delphi's picked up a couple wins recently. Benton Central better than what they have been too recently. I know they've picked up a couple wins this year, and they're in a competitive conference. And I think Seeger right now is sitting at 6-2 or 5-3, not exactly sure. So. I like our sectional, and I think there's some games in that sectional we can be competitive in. We just got to get to that point, and we'll see how everything shakes out.
You guys would be good to ask this question of dealing with the draw tomorrow. How much does a record matter when you get a draw for a team that you've never seen or never played or, like you just said, never even heard of? Do records just go out the window at this point because both teams have no idea of either team, and you just kind of show up and it's just a different game at this point? When you prepare all season, you're used to seeing the same teams over and over again, and then you travel to a place like Seeger and have no idea anything about them. Does that change the game a little bit, whether you're a team that might not have a great record or a team that does have a great record?
I'm just a firm believer, as long as I've done this, you throw the records out the window in the tournament. You do. You're dealing with high school kids, and we've talked about with our kids over the years, the different places we've been. You can play as long as you want in the tournament. If you have that belief that you still want to play and you want to show up and get it done, you've got a chance to do so, regardless of what the record is. And you see it every year. You see teams that are favored, you're quote unquote favored to win. They get beat in the first round, and teams that maybe didn't have the season they wanted to regular season, they hit the right spot and they've improved throughout the season. They go on a little bit of a run in the tournament too. So this is my favorite time of year. It's we tell the kids it's real simple when you get to this point. And one of two things is going to happen. You're going to go out and win and get it done, or you're going to come back that next Monday or Tuesday and put your stuff away for the season. So a little bit of finality there, but I think if you're a football player, you embrace that challenge and you love this time of year. So we get pretty excited about tournament time.
Well, that's head coach Josh Burgess of the Winamac Warriors. We appreciate your time as always, Coach. Good luck next week against Caston, and we look forward to talking to you on Saturday.
I appreciate your time, guys. Thanks very much.
Of course. All right, we're going to take a break and come back. Don't go anywhere. We've got more coming as head coach of the South Central Satellites, Buzz Schoff, is in the house to talk about our game of the week from last night. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
The way we used to be, yeah. The way we used to be.
Coke knows there's nothing better than the beat of the summer. The beat begins in a simple and mellow place, from low-key to hyped up. So we're helping you and your friends drink it all in with 100 days of the artist's experiences, tracks, and concerts with the best names in music, all at Coke Studio. Drink, scan, and enjoy your Coke so you never miss out on all the amazing offers we're dropping this summer. Welcome to Marian University's newest location, Ancilla College of Marian University. Marian's newest campus location in Plymouth is your home for an on-campus college experience, from living in the dorms to being a collegiate student-athlete. Marian University is ranked third most innovative Midwest university by U.S. News and World Report. For more information about our 2- or 4-year degrees, go to www.marian.edu/Ancilla. That's www.marian.edu/Ancilla.
You're listening to Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
From shotgun, takes the snap. He's looking to throw. Fires. Oh, it's intercepted. That's John Whitaker, the big man, up the middle. Now he's running it across the 50, and he's tackled at about the 48-yard line. And the ball got loose, but he was down as a huge interception, the second interception on the night for the Satellites.
And we're back here on the Saturday Sports Line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana. We're so glad to be here. Mitch Columbi and sports analyst Chris McGowan with head coach of the South Central Satellites, Buzz Schoff. Had some good moments last night, but it was a tough loss, and we appreciate your time as always, Coach, for coming in. And Chris, you have something you'd like to start with?
Yeah, we're going to do this interview just a little bit different, Coach, so bear with me here a little bit. I just wanted to take the opportunity, with everything that the South Central community has gone through this week and what you've gone through as a teacher and as a coach. I hope your players are listening. If not, please take this message back. With everything that you guys had gone through, my time here at Knox, we lost a student tragically in a car accident. And so I kind of know what you're going through. But I wanted your kids to know that regardless of what that scoreboard said last night, going into that game at the end of it, regardless of what it said, the role that they played to try to bring back some normalcy to that community and to actually, sometimes life's not fair. We know that. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is just to show up. And your kids were able to do that last night. And in my book, regardless of what that scoreboard said, they were winners. And they did the hardest thing last night. And sometimes, like I said, just showing up is the hardest thing to do. And you came out, and in that first quarter, you guys played inspired football. But again, I'm proud of what your kids were able to do last night, even though on the scoreboard it did come up short. But like I said, that is, with everything you guys had gone through and everything you're going to go through here in the next few days, that's inconsequential to the real game, and that's life. And again, if I could have after the game last night, I'd have told them to put those South Central helmets on and wear them off the field with pride, because they deserved it.
Going into it, obviously, you go to school on Monday, and everybody in the school, the biggest thing in their lives is the homecoming football game.
Right.
So the biggest thing that they're worried about is can you win the homecoming football game, the pep rally that's going to happen on Friday, the bonfire that's going to happen on Wednesday. That's where their minds are at, and then you get the news that we got on Tuesday. And everything shifts, and it's no longer important what happens in the football game.
Right.
And as a coach, it had been kind of discussed, what happens. And I've kind of been through this situation before. I was at LaPorte when Jake West passed away. Another tragic thing that happened, and I just remember we went out, and that happened on a Wednesday, and we went out and played Maryville that Friday, and that was kind of the get back to that we can still. We can still have fun. We can still smile every once in a while. We can still joke around, and when something hits you and you need a minute, like I told you last night, take your minute. So I think, just interacting with, our student section was having a good time last night. They were, they were being high school kids again.
Right.
And I think, as a community, that's the best medicine you can have in this time. So I think playing the football game, look, everybody wants to win a football game, but we got other things going on. And the fact that our kids have been on an emotional roller coaster all week long, football is irrelevant.
Exactly.
It kind of puts in perspective what we're actually doing here. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to go undefeated. Everybody wants to win a state championship. But in reality, we are trying to groom young men to be great citizens. And that's what I have. I have a group of young men who are great citizens. And you could see that all week long. They were there for each other. They were there for their friends. They were there for each other. And that's exactly what we need. Maybe they're not very good football players, but they're good people. And that's all I want. I'll take good people over great athletes all day long. it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. So, that's just something that we have, and I wouldn't trade our community for anything. Our community is probably the best community that you could possibly ask for in any given situation. If you're struggling winning a football game, your community's got your back. If you're hurting for some tragedy that happened, our community's got your back. And our thought process is not with football right now. It's with a brother, a teammate. We are there for them, and we got another hard day ahead of us, and we're just going to focus on getting stronger as a community.
Well, I briefly mentioned this last night. On behalf of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting, we would love to send our condolences to the Oman family, as it's hard to talk about, but we appreciate you coming in, Coach, and we'll try to transition a little bit about the game last night. I know that's kind of tough, but I just want to say, for seeing your team for the first time, your quarterback, Zach Hanshar, he is an athlete, and he has got an arm. There were times where he was throwing bombs. Straight bombs. They just got away from him, fell out of bounds a couple of times, but, and he can run out of the pocket. He is very elusive.
Yep.
So, you have some athletes. You've got some pieces. It's just like you said. You're short on numbers. You're trying to fill the places where you can. Chris mentioned it. You had a heck of a first half inspired football. It was a shutout first half. You didn't allow anything. First quarter, excuse me. You intercepted there. I think it was like on the first or second drive for the Rebels. Things were looking really good there early on. A lot of inspiration out there on the field. So, from seeing them the first time compared to just looking at the stats or looking at the schedule, I thought that this team is actually very good. It just is, the score hasn't really reflected that this season.
No, and like I said, if you look at our stats, if you look at our scores for the game, you just think, okay, South Central's not any good, and maybe there's some truth to that, but we don't ever have a situation where we can't make the play. We always have 2-3 guys in position to make the play. We just don't make the play. Whether that be just unathleticism, not fast enough, not confident enough, whatever it may be. But we're in the position. And like I told our kids last night, just kind of walking up and down the sideline, just, trying to make sure everybody's good and everybody understands. When you're in position to make the play, the hard part's over. That's the hard part, getting in position, because if you're playing defense, you have to read something. You have to look at another human being, and he's going to tell you where to go. And if you're in the position to make the play, you've done the hard part. You've done the part that most people struggle with early on. And then we get to that spot, and then we just don't make the play.
It's like, okay, I'm in this position, and all it takes is just a split second of hesitation.
Yep.
And a running back like Cruz last night, or Krug, the quarterback who was athletic. You hesitate just for a split second, and they're going to be running through an arm tackle.
Yeah. Yep. And like I told, and I told our kids that, numerous times. I said, look, we tackle way too high. I'm sorry to tell you, you guys don't hit hard enough to tackle high. If Ray Lewis is out there, I don't care how he tackles, but we don't have
seriously,
him.
You're right.
Right. We don't
go
have
for the
him.
legs.
So I said, at least if you tackle low, if you aim low and you miss, at least it looks like we're playing football.
Right.
But when you try to grab him by his head and then you miss, it doesn't look like football.
Right.
And so, that's the frustrating part is, all these things that you teach and you preach, and then it just doesn't happen. Well, somewhere there's a disconnect. But last night I again, there were times where it was like, okay, this is a good football team.
Right.
Like, I'm looking at a decent football team, and then one good play followed by 2 bad plays, and it's still 4th and 10.
Right.
So we just couldn't consistently put good plays together. Defensively, we would have them. We'd have a nice stop. It'd be 3rd and 8, and then all of a sudden, They would just break loose, and we were nowhere to be found. You know, what comes to mind, I think it was either their second score or their third score. We have the quarterback bottled up in the backfield for a 6-yard loss, and and we have 3 guys wrapping him up, and he just takes off, and we miss 3 or 4 tackles and then we hit him late out of bounds.
Yeah,
so
I remember that play.
It should have been 4th and 20.
And then he got the
instead
first
it's
down.
1st and goal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, this second snap, their second snap offensively. You know, the first snap goes over the quarterback's head.
The second one did it again.
Yep.
Yeah, the second one does it again, but he obviously you can tell he's played a lot of football because he kept his poise. And, you lost contain.
Yep.
Hard, his young football team, hey, you see that ball on the ground, I'm going to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he picked it up and was able to get outside the defensive end, it's 2nd and 24 at this point, and he picks up 30 yards for a first down.
Right.
So they kind of set the tone early there.
Yeah. So it was on that play. I thought, okay, if they can't, all right, hey, good. If they can't get a snap all night long, maybe we could do something here. Obviously, they figured that out after the second snap. But after that second snap goes over his head, we got him, right? We got him, and he takes off and runs, and everybody's like, "What happened?" I go, "We're not disciplined enough to have that play."
Right.
If they would have ran whatever play they wanted to run in that situation, we would have been better off.
Right.
But we are not disciplined enough to play that kind of football. We think, okay, ball's on the ground, go to where the ball's at, not thinking the ball moves once he picks it up.
Right.
He's not going to pick it up and stand there and look at you. It's just those little things that comes with age and comes with experience. And I was thinking last night is our kids are getting valuable game experience. Yes, exactly. At some point, they are going to catch up to the speed of the game. They're not there yet.
Right.
And I hate to say it as a head coach, I sound naive, but our kid after 7 weeks or 8 weeks, our kids still haven't figured out the speed of this game yet. They haven't figured out that they're not the fastest kid on the field anymore. This is not our number 2 offense going against us. We can't be out of position and still make the play because we have an offensive guard playing tailback on our scout team just because we don't have anybody else. We haven't quite adjusted to that. It comes with age. When you got a freshman defensive end and he sees the ball on the ground, he's going to go for the ball. I know that. And then when the quarterback runs out around him and he doesn't have the speed or the agility to redirect and make a play, that's because you're a freshman.
Right. Speaking of which, when we heard the call there at the top of this segment, Whitaker with the interception there.
I was going to bring him up.
Actually had a batted pass. Actually had almost had an interception before that.
Yeah, and he had,
but they ended up picking off the pass there, and I made the comment, boy, it looks like he's actually carried the football before, the way he had it high and tight and on that interception return. So all these guys getting shuffled around, could we see Whitaker in the backfield, Coach?
No, he's going to play guard.
He had his moments last night. He has great hands.
So John...
I tried, John. Sorry.
Yeah, we tried, John. We thought we'd get you the starting lineup, buddy.
John's the biggest kid on our team by far.
Right. But he can move.
He's
quick.
He can move. No doubt about that. He's. We need him to play right guard. We need him to play right guard. But he's always the scout return guy. He's always that guy that wants to carry the ball, but it's like, John, you're 6'2", 240 pounds, dude. Like we like, hey, you get, and I'll point to a kid in the hallway. You get him to play, we'll talk about it. You get him to play, we'll talk about it. But until I get somebody that else can play guard. You're playing guard.
Man, I bet that hurts him.
I tell you what, it's kind of funny that he, all those linemen, they're all the same. They
want the ball.
Yeah, I'll catch the punt. So
yeah, I mean, I was a high school offensive lineman. All you wanted to do was line up one time as the fullback or the tight end. You're doing the same job. You're still going to block somebody, but you have the ability to go out for a pass. That's it.
Well, that, and not only that, but now we're starting you 5 yards back, so you actually get a running head start now.
Right. I mean, I know the thought process. I was an offensive lineman my whole life, and all I wanted to do was carry the ball one time, and it wasn't until like my junior year when Coach Schellinger was like, Buzz, you understand you touch the ball more than anybody on the field?
You're the center.
I was a center, so I was guaranteed to touch the ball every play. But he's like, you understand you touch the ball every play, right? I go, yeah, but I don't get to do anything with it. I got to give it away every time.
So one of the things I used to do as a head coach, every once in a while, we would bust out the jugs machine and be throwing punts into the air, and I'd take all my offensive and defensive linemen and put them down on the goal line.
Say, okay, let's see it then.
Okay, so here we go. It's a down and back for every one that we miss or every one that we drop, and so watching those linemen try to catch those punts was always a good fun. We'd have a lot of fun with that. And the skill guys would all be getting upset. Man, we got to run because of you guys. You guys are always talking about wanting to catch punts. Well, here you go, and then you end up cheesing it a little bit.
Yeah, because we do that. We do the same kind of concept at the beginning of the year when we're trying to figure out who our punter is, who our kicker is, right? And I always make the statement at the beginning of the year: the kicker has to look like a kicker. All right, nothing drives me more crazy than seeing an offensive lineman go out there and toe bash a kick, not knowing where the ball is going to go.
Right.
So I always say, like, the kicker's got to look like a kicker, which sometimes you're out of options and you got to do what you got to do. Whoever can kick the ball the farthest is going to be your kicker. But a lot of times, one of them big offensive linemen or big defensive linemen will go up and they'll try to punt the ball and they'll completely miss the football.
Right.
Okay. Well, you're not going to be the punter. We don't need to watch that anymore. And they'll go and they'll return kicks, and it's comical what kind of effort they will give to catch a punt.
Yeah.
They will sprint for 45 minutes just to catch a punt, and it's like, you understand that, like, you're a glorified net at this point, like, right? Like, we just need you to return the ball
to bring
any
it
way
back.
possible. We don't need you to catch it. But you look at them, it's like, and then we got returners, and you watch them, and they'll let the ball bounce 3 feet in front of them, when all they got to do is take one more step and catch it. It's like, I got this kid sprinting his butt off all day long to catch it, and I can't get you to step forward.
Right.
Yeah. Well, next week, going to Hammond Bishop Knoll, right?
Where is that?
That's at our place.
Okay, well, so you don't have to make that trip up to
Where is Hammond Knoll? I just want to know.
Hammond.
It's a little bit before you get to Whiting.
Where's the Hammond, Coach? I don't know where Hammond is.
If you make it to Whiting, you've gone too far, because at Whiting the lake's right there, and then you can see Chicago.
So it's on the way to Illinois.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's right off I-94.
94.
So they're a 2A school, and what do you know about them? Do you know anything yet?
So they're a team, and it
really
historically, yeah, they play football. They're a team that traditionally has better athletes than what they kind of perceive as. They have guys that can make plays. They just, again, like us, don't, for lack of better terminology. They have some guys that can put up big numbers if you allow them to. They just traditionally struggle because they'll have one fantastic play and then they'll follow it up by 2 bad plays. And it's one of those games where when you look at it, you're hoping for a good football game at this point. I just want our kids to experience what a football game feels like, no matter what that is. We win, we lose. Let's play football where we have to overcome a little bit. We have to, things go well for a while, and then they kind of drop off. Ride those ups and ride those downs, and just let's play football. And I think this is a great opportunity for that. We got 2 teams that are struggling. They're 0-7 or 0-8. We're at 1-7. We're both struggling to move the football. We're both struggling to score. We're both struggling to stop anybody. And I think when two mediocre teams come together, usually it turns into a pretty good football game. So that's what we're looking for.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time as always, and good luck next week against Hammond Knoll. Hopefully you'll finish off the season with a big win, and we'll talk about it next Saturday.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, that's head coach Buzz Schoff of the South Central Satellites here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break, but don't go anywhere. The Where Are They Now segment with Harold Welter is next. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
But now your kiss has lost its glow.
Collins Insurance Agency in Knox has done it again. They have earned the distinction of preferred agency partner from the Western Reserve Insurance Company.
Can't touch this.
So what does that mean for you? Collins Insurance Agency provides themselves of taking care of its community. That means providing the best insurance that keeps you and your family safe in a time of need. And with this honor, Collins Insurance Agency looks forward to providing Stark and surrounding counties the best customer service you and your family deserve. Collins Insurance Agency in Knox, living the golden rule by treating you like family.
It's time now for Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of WKVI radio covering local high school sports. Today's program is brought to you by Osborne's Mini Marts in Knox and Culver. Now let's meet one of the local high school sports figures from more than 50 years of WKVI sports and find out where are they now?
As we look back on 50 years of broadcasting high school sports in the Kankakee Valley area here on WKVI, our guest is Tom Marsh, a 1978 graduate of Knox High School. And our theme here is, where are they now? So, Tom, where are you now and what are you doing?
Well, I've been in the insurance business for about 25 years now. Been with Indiana Farm Bureau for quite some time. My career started here in Knox with them and then has evolved into several different positions, but I work over in Jasper County, and I'm an agent for Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance.
You, back in the 70s, played on some pretty darn good teams before this playoff system came about, and I remember perhaps that was the best prior record, right?
I think it was. I think it held the record for the last 40-plus years.
9 wins and 1 loss.
We were 9-1, season of the 76. We lost 1 game by 1 point to Rensselaer on a close 7-6 game with a turnover late in the game. So we were up 6-0, and then we ended up losing by 1 point, and that was our only blemish on the season. But we had some great games along the way. So.
I think that was that Dave Reisner's first year as head coach?
It was Coach Reisner's very first year, which I see a lot of parallels between what we saw back then with the coaching and what a transition we went through and what I see today. I think there's a lot of parallel there.
And then you had another good season as a senior. But going back to those days, what game or games stand out in your mind all these years later?
Well, there were a couple games, actually. One against John Glenn. It was a 32-31, 33-32 barn burner, and we couldn't stop them, and they couldn't stop us. And I remember after blocking a little bit, watching Phil Owens run downfield for a 30, 40-yard touchdown, and a few minutes later we'd watch Jaski, one of their players, run the other direction for a touchdown, and that went on for the whole night. Fortunately, we came out on top, but that was a great game. I do remember another game that was a very, very close game, and I remember a key play in that game, and actually it was a pass from Keith Reinhold, who was our quarterback. If you remember that, Harold,
right?
And Marc Small, he was our wideout. We really only ran a single wideout most of the time, and I remember a key play. We were about midfield, and Keith threw a long bomb down the left sidelines to Marc Small. And for some reason, I remember watching the play develop from blocking, and Marc seemed like he went up, jumped several feet in the air somehow, and caught this pass. And in that game, one of the key plays of the game, we ended up winning like 12-9 against East Gary, which of course today is Lake Station.
Right.
But I remember for some reason that a play like that take place. I remember there were some games against North Newton and Winamac. We won those games every season we played them, but I do recall coming out of those games where you seemed like you always got a migraine or a headache after you played them, and it was because they were hard fought games. So those were exciting and entertaining and fun to play in. Of course, we had the 76 season. We had like Phil Owens was our star running back, and we only had to give him just a little bit of a crease.
Yeah.
And he did the rest, which was very helpful.
He led the Northern Indiana in rushing.
Yeah,
his senior year.
He had over 1,800 yards, I believe, his senior year, and he didn't take much. Once he hit that hole, he was a lot more powerful, a lot quicker than people gave him credit for. He was great to play with.
Of course,
fantastic.
You were in that offensive line that was opening those holes. Who were some of the other guys? You mentioned Reinhold and Small and Owens. Who are some of the other guys you played with?
Well, I played center, so I got to touch the ball. Never got to carry it. So at least I got to touch the ball. But Michael Shesky, he was our right tackle. And of course, he was the biggest player I think we had on our team.
Yeah.
And he weighed 245 pounds, and he was the biggest player of the team. So the size of kids really has changed over time.
Yeah.
And right beside me, who made me look a lot better than I was when I played, was John Sire. He was the right guard, and John was I always thought he was one of the best athletes we had.
Heck of a baseball player.
He was a great baseball player. He was a great on the mound. He was a fantastic baseball player, but he made me look a lot better because he helped me open holes that he really got all the credit for. So we had a couple of people that we played with that are now gone, and Mark Small was one of those and that was shortly after we graduated. And a guy that played left guard was a guy named Mike Moore, a little bit smaller but very strong. And I don't believe he's with us any longer. Excuse me. We had a fullback who played a year or two there that was just you did not want to get in his way. His name was Dave Ritchie. I don't know if you remember him or not.
Yeah.
But boy, David, when he went through the hole, he wasn't real big, 175 pounds, but you better get out of the way because he was a lot to handle. Some of the other players that we played with that were fantastic to play with, Jack McCann, John Smith, they kind of led the defense. I think Jack McCann, he may have led the whole Northwest Indiana or Northern Indiana in tackles that year. I think he had 140, 150 tackles.
Wow.
He was averaging, 15 tackles a game. Yeah, he was the heart of that defense. But
you mentioned John Smith, and kind of an interesting story. Wasn't Roger Smith?
My freshman coach was Roger Smith, who was John's older brother by quite a bit, I think.
Yeah,
and
because Roger played with me when I was in high school. He was a little younger than me.
And I will tell you, Mr. Smith, when you were at practice, he had your attention, 100%. He taught us discipline, and we listened whenever he wanted to get his point across, he got it across.
Need a game plan that has your day covered from tip-off to the buzzer? Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox has you covered. Whether you like to start out with a caffeinated full-court press or control the tempo with a Subway breakfast flatbread, Osborne's Mini Mart has what you need. Don't get trapped in the corner with an empty stomach. Call a quick timeout and get 2 hot dogs for $1.29. Visit Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox at the corner of US 35 and Highway 8 East to guarantee you win the day.
Our guest here today is Tom Marsh, a 1978 graduate of Knox High School. And Tom, let me ask you this. What did you gain from being a high school athlete that has helped you be so successful in life?
Probably just the determination to continue on, regardless of what the circumstances were or how tough things were getting or where you were at that moment and you wished you were somewhere else. You had to realize that the task that was in front of you was the most important thing at that point, and you needed to continue on to accomplish whatever that particular thing was.
You were talking in the first segment about so many people that influenced you, your teammates and guys that you really became close to.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot. I probably should have mentioned Coach Reisner a little bit more, too.
The longest tenured coach in the history of Knox football, by the way.
I didn't know that.
He was here for 9 years, and no other coach has been here that long.
Coach Reisner's first year at Knox was our 9-1 season, and he came right in right away, and and made us feel like we can do this, whether we realized it or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I see today with our current staff. So Coach Reisner really helped establish, I think, even though it was 40 plus years ago, I think a good foundation that, Knox football, and as we see today, was on the right track. Prior to our 76 season, we had guys like Doug Small and Doug Corey and Jeff Block and Brian Lawrence that led. And as underclassmen, we saw how important it was to, what they were doing. And then, we had some guys like Gene Novello and Derek Lockridge, who we lost for a big part of our senior season that really made a big difference, because he was, back then, for his size, he was incredibly strong, and he really helped establish us our junior year, and then would have helped us immensely more our senior year had he not got injured. Then just a few years later, I don't know if you remember this or not, Harold, but I believe our senior year was their freshman year. Again, we didn't practice. It was kind of a throwback to the old days when the underclassmen and the upperclassmen didn't really mingle as much as they do now.
Right.
But the freshman class that year were Vince Jacobs and Steve Bradley and Steve Mullins. Larry played with us. Larry was fantastic athlete and football player. Steve Mullins and Keith Reinhold's younger brother, Scott Reinhold.
Right.
They were freshmen.
When you were seniors.
When we were seniors, we didn't even practice together, really.
Yeah.
And some talent really came out of that class.
They had some great seasons, too.
Great seasons. So, the foundation was laid, and I think Coach Reisner really just built on that from his very first season on. So we were very fortunate.
Our guest on Where Are They Now has been Tom Marsh, a 1978 graduate of Knox High School. Join us again next week on the Saturday Sports Line for Where Are They Now?
Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of high school sports coverage on WKVI has been brought to you by Osborne's Mini Marts in Knox and Culver.
Join us each Saturday morning on WKVI for the Saturday Sports Line and worldwide on WKVI.com.
So the Rebels continue to move the chains. The Satellites doing their best. 1st and 10 here on the 23-yard line in Satellite territory. Krug takes the snap. He hands off up the middle, and a couple of Satellites read that beautifully. 77's the one that comes to mind. John Whitaker came flying in on that play.
It's time now for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, given in memory of Tyler Roth, a 2001 graduate of Winamac High School who died in an auto accident 1 week after his high school graduation. Today's award is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac, and we'll tell you who's earned the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week after this word from Web Printing.
Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack and signs of all kinds in Winamac is where all of your printing needs can be met. Whether it's paper, garments, or signs, Web Printing is your full-service printing solution. So if you're in need of embroidered or screen-printed garments, tickets or programs for your event, or documents for your business, Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack is the place to go. For the quickest service, best prices, and best quality, it's Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac.
Our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week for this week is Avery Hendrixson, a member of the volleyball and cross-country teams at Tri-Township. Avery has had an amazing season thus far for the volleyball and cross-country teams. She is the epitome of the Tyler Roth WKVI, doing 2 sports at the same time. Her determination and will to never stop and never settle earned her this week's honor. Avery is the daughter of Heather and Jim Ligda and the late Michael Hendrixson. Congratulations to Avery Hendrixson of Tri-Township, our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. The Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack. We invite you to follow us on Facebook at Sports to the Max, on Instagram at WKVI Sports, and on Twitter at KVB Sports for all Kankakee Valley Broadcasting sports content. Join us here in a little bit on our sister station, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WYMR, broadcasting from Culver Academy against Hammond, or I forget who they're playing, actually. So tune in right now on 98.3 FM. I'm going to hop on the road and join them myself, Tony Tony, the boss, Ross, and crew. I will be on hand as well here shortly, so don't go anywhere. Max 98.3's got more football coverage coming for you. As from all of us here at KVB, we thank you for listening. As for our sports analyst, Chris McGowan, our announcer, John Thompson, I am Mitch Columbi. The tradition continues. This is Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
So South Central and Zach Canchar making things happen. 3rd and 4 on their own 43-yard line. They need something here. From shotgun, he takes the snap. Canchar rolls out to his left. He finds his man immediately. They're going to get the first down before they're tackled at about the 47-yard line. And a little something to cheer about here as they get the first down and move the chains.
But now your kiss has lost its glow, and so we find